What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Data is My Science podcast, the show that makes data your passion. I am your host, Dapper Data. I have a special guest on here today. Okay, we're going to talk about something different. We're going to talk about how to target those customers. We're going to talk about how to boost those sales and how to leverage data to provide organizations with those actionable insights. All right, we talked about we dive deep into things. We go deep into AI, supervised learning, whatever it is, and we talk about business, right? It's really important to understand the business aspect of things, whether you're talking about data science, data analytics, right? It's really important because data is leveraged everywhere. I promise you on everything. You knew that when I talked to Paula Tui for pharmaceutical stuff, right? You knew that when I talked to Peter Mensa for CVS, right? Looking at pharmacy stuff there, looking at restaurants, you knew that, right? Data is leveraged everywhere. I don't care where you are, you're making a data-driven decision. All right. Even if you're deciding to look at whether I want some type of cookout gear on your out on your balcony or something, right? Out on your deck, right? You're sitting there looking up different data, right? You're always looking at data to be able to make that decision. So I want to introduce you all to Matt Ranta. Say hello, Matt.
Hey, everybody. Bobby, thanks for having me on the show. I'm really excited to get to talk about this topic with you and looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah, no, this is gonna be exciting because a lot of times, right, our audience, right, they like I mentioned before during our pre-recording, we talk about how our audience, they average, right? I mean, they range from what you could say novice,
Hmm.
you could say CIOs, CTOs, right, and then some of the advanced people out there. And so it's definitely an honor to have you on the call because you have that business insight, right? A lot of times we're not really focused on the business side of things. And honestly, that's what makes the money. That's what I say.
Totally.
You know,
Totally. Yeah.
you can be a doer, but that business aspect of things is totally different. So, yeah. So Matt is the head of practice for digital transformation, e-commerce, and strategy at Nimble Gravity. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit about Nimble Gravity. Nimble Gravity is a consultancy specializing in data science, digital strategy, e-commerce, nearshore engineering teams, analytics, and organizational strategy. All right. So Matt is very important to the company of Nimble. All right. And he's helping them make a lot of data driven decisions. All right. So Matt, please tell them a little bit about yourself, man. Tell them your story.
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, my story goes back quite a ways, about 24 years at this point that I've been doing e-commerce stuff. So starting in 1998, I was working in e-commerce for a consumer electronics and appliance retailer based out of the state of Montana called Vans Incorporated, not the shoes. It had two N's in the name. So that was a really cool company. And I worked my way up and eventually ran all the marketing there, both on the digital side as well as traditional. And then in 2011, I made a move to Cricket Wireless, worked there for a while, moved on to Aero Electronics in 2014. And I oversaw digital marketing and operations for that marketing for multiple websites in the Aero Electronics portfolio. Built a team of in-house folks, ran a paid search program that had more than 5 million keywords, worked with data scientists to create all kinds of cool projects there. And then I eventually took over the management of one of those websites, general management of verical.com. And they were a marketplace that sold into 156 different countries and had a huge, billions of dollars gross merchandise value, 2.5 to 3 million SKUs, always doing pricing tests, all kinds of things there. And did that for quite a while. And then around 2019, I moved into mobile marketing and mobile ad tech. Worked with a company called Ad Action here in Colorado. Did some great things there. And then, in 2021, and it was the month of October, I took the leap into consulting, and I was a solo shop for a little while. And I kept bumping into all my buddies at Nimble Gravity, where we were working alongside each other on similar jobs. And it just made a lot of sense to join forces. And so in January of 22, we joined up and I became a part of Nimble Gravity. And now I'm using all that experience across B2B, B2C, D2C, whatever it might be, to help others drive meaningful growth in their digital and e-commerce endeavors.
Man, so that's an interesting story because what you have shown me just immediately is that experience matters, right? To be able to get to the point where you're at now and be such a vital part of this data-driven like culture right now that everybody's doing, right? You know, you mentioned that you worked with data scientists years ago. You know, I mean, data
Yeah,
scientists are really highlighted now, but you're in my head, you're saying, man, look, I worked with data scientists years ago, so you understood the value of a data scientist, right? You know,
totally. I worked with a couple data scientists back at Vans, in like 2010, and they weren't called data scientists then; they were called business analysts. But we were
mm,
doing things like regression analysis on, our appliance sales and comparing that to
mm,
housing starts, right? And understanding how housing starts had a high correlation to consumer electronics and appliance sales, because when those housing starts hit, right, and people are building new homes, they're going out and buying appliances for those and they're putting them in. And so we proved that correlation out, and then we were able to help drive prediction of future revenues off of that regression analysis, right? So there's predictive analytics for you
yeah.
right there.
Oh man, they did that. That's funny because I mean this they use the word, data science. I always say a data scientist can be a mathematician, right? A programmer,
Yep.
it can be pretty much anybody, right? You're making these data driven decisions. You could possibly be a data scientist at heart. And I honestly didn't, because of the generation that I grew up in, right? It was a certain part in time, right, where you heard about virtualization. You heard
Mm-hmm.
about uh, just storing the data, right? You just heard about networking, right? That was all those things were pretty big and foundational, right? Cisco, Juniper, networking, different companies like NetApp and Oracle and all that stuff for databases and highlighting data
Yeah.
storage. And then you got compute, right? They just talked about those different areas, and then now you got the cloud. But for some reason, I never heard that data science dated back. It's been going on for years. So when you
Totally
think,
has. Yeah.
and it's funny to me because now we're really engulfed in this whole data science culture, right? Everybody's saying use the data, make data driven decisions, things like that. And I wonder what the value of a data scientist will be now, right? Compared to back then, right? I mean, they had so much value and weight then, and if
Yeah.
you knew what you've been involved with that data sciences dating back to when you first started working in the industry, and you knew about data scientists, right? Like you say, they were called business analysts, right?
Yep.
And now they're bringing that term back to business analysts. It's almost like Jordans or something, man. They're bringing it back.
Yeah. It's interesting. Business analyst has kind of been morphed, right? Like you hear about them a lot when you're talking about product teams, people who are building software and things, right? And they're going out and they're doing analysis of what customers are saying, what they're wanting, and they're digging into data, right? And trying to help use that to drive product decisions about what functionality are we going to add to a website or a software,
Yeah.
and make sure that that's informed by data and not informed by opinions, which is something at Nimble Gravity we really believe, right? Data is
Mhm.
greater than opinions, always, right?
Mhm.
Like the crowd out there that uses your product, your website, whatever it might be, the data that they provide back to you will guide you and give you everything you need to know. So,
Right, right. It really helps, like data. It helps you make those data-driven decisions. But even if I was to make a
mhm.
decision without using the data, I can go back to the data and they can support my decision now, right?
Totally right.
And that's important too, right? A lot of people don't understand that whichever way you take it, right, before or after, if you use data, you can actually support the decision that you're making, and it probably holds more weight, right?
Right.
When you're making this decision, you say, look, man, look, I'm a CEO. I get it, but the data showed me this. Okay, so
Yeah.
so that's what is, or is that even like could it be used as a way out, right, to get you out of a situation that you made a bad decision? I don't know.
Possibly. I mean, the thing that's great about this digital world that we're in now in e-commerce and things like that is you very quickly are going to find out, right? And if you're using your web analytics and other things, it's going to provide that data to you about whatever that decision is in a very rapid manner, right? You don't have to wait weeks or months or whatever like you used to a long time ago. You're immediately going to start getting data. If
Yeah.
you make a decision and all of a sudden you see your conversion rate tank or your average order value shrink or whatever, like, you can immediately go, okay, bad decision. Let's reverse that and go a different direction, right? So
Right. All right. So you mentioned Nimble,
yeah.
right? That's the company that you're currently on. Your team is great. They're doing some great things. I definitely did a lot of research on it, man. And I definitely I want to applaud you and your team for doing the stuff that you are doing, right? I really want to highlight what is gravity, right? What is Nimble Gravity, right? How are you all helping people make those data-driven decisions out there?
Yeah. So the easiest way to say it is we're a consultancy that's passionate about the power of data. And we work across multiple fronts. We work in data science, e-commerce, digital transformation, analytics, engineering, and then strategy, both management and organizational. And we apply data across all fronts of that in what we're doing. It could be that we're working as, kind of a fractional C-level expert, or that we're performing an audit of any of those disciplines. We could be helping out private equity with due diligence. We could be actually building a software solution that's going to get handed over to a business and helping them build out and run the teams that might continue to develop that. Anything like that. But some great examples of that are, running an A/B testing team inside of an organization on their behalf
Mhm.
and working with their analytics platforms like Optimizely, platforms like Full Story, and doing hundreds of A/B tests and understanding how those are constantly impacting their revenue, their conversion rates, their average order values, and just constantly iterating on that and kind of helping to teach and imbue that organization with the power of data, right? And have them understand that and prove it out to them and say, this change was better than that change. This option was better than these other two options. This is the way to go. And you iteratively are building on top of that. So, and it could turn into, something like e-commerce, right?
Mhm.
Help launch a brand new e-commerce brand. Okay, we'll go out and study the market of what they think their competitors are going to be. What are they making? Are they making athleisure wear for middle-aged men, or are they making, swimsuits for a younger generation? Who are the
Mhm.
competitors in that space? What does the data say about how many visitors they're getting? What does the data say about how much marketing dollars they're spending? What are you going to need to spend to be competitive? And then once you have that framework of how you might launch something, you immediately start doing exactly what we were just talking about, where you go back and you say, the data for us is proving that even though Instagram was fantastic for XYZ brand, it's not driving our type of customer. Our type of customer is actually coming off of Facebook, right? And then you can just kind of move and tailor things as you need to across the board. So we're doing all kinds of stuff at Nimble Gravity. It's a lot of fun. And, I think what makes us stand out is that we're actual true veteran operators of businesses, right? Like, I talked about my background and how much experience I have in e-commerce. And if you talk to the guys that do data science or the guys that do our engineering teams or whatever, they have similar or even, longer tenures in actual big businesses driving that kind of operation. And then we're coupled with teams that are ready and able to execute on the strategies that we are recommending or the solutions we're defining. So that's us.
No, that's amazing, man. Because Matt, when you mentioned that, there's a couple of things I that captured me, right? When you think about um, one of the things you mentioned was basically understanding your domain,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because man, this can go so deep, right, audience? Because when you think about understanding your domain, you said that data scientists, they have worked in this e-commerce space, right? You have worked in this
Totally.
e-commerce space, right? No matter the field you're in, you're so valuable when you know that field, right? I'd rather I understand football to a T, right? I played the game since I was 7 years old, and if
Yep.
I'm a data scientist, right, and I really love using data and making data driven decisions, right? From a football standpoint, I should probably go into that field, right? I'd probably be more viable there than maybe the healthcare industry, not
Right.
unless I have really studied the healthcare industry, right? If I study e-commerce, then I'll be a great data scientist in e-commerce if I've done it for years, right? And so that even goes back to this whole explainable AI thing, or being able to do trusted AI, or being able to understand the decisions that are made, the bias stuff that comes out of some of these AI tools that is out there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The data that is presented into those tools, um, it can be biased or not, but you need to have diverse people that are presenting that data. You need to have people that understand that domain. All right. If I sit there and I am really deep into healthcare and I try to get into finance, all right, and I probably could be, as a domain owner, a person that's collecting the data, that's out there looking at the data, I probably could present more biased results if I don't understand the mission, if I don't understand that e-commerce space, or I don't understand the financial space, right? Would you say that's like a viable thing, right? Understanding your domain is important, and expertise is important in that domain.
I do think it's important. Yeah, I think you can augment somebody who maybe has less experience in a particular domain by having them partner with folks that do, right? And those folks don't even have to be data scientists, right? You can have two people work together where a data scientist can say, hey, the findings coming out of our model or our study or whatever are pointing towards these products being popular, these products being laggards, whatever it might be.
Good point.
And then you can say, why is that to
Ah,
to the person? You can just have a sense of curiosity. And I think that for any scientist, I don't care if you're a data scientist, if you're a chemist, if you're a
mm,
physicist, whatever it is, curiosity is a key trait, right?
mm,
That you have to have. And so if you have somebody who's curious and who's asking questions and who's trying to understand what's going on and you're partnering them with another expert, I think that they can also do a very, very good job because you're going to be hard pressed, I believe, to find highly experienced, deeply tenured data scientists or whatever it might be in every single field, right? And
mhm.
I think that's sometimes something that you get people wrapped up in when they're hiring, right?
Mm,
Whatever it might be. I've got to hire somebody who's been doing exactly, selling tires online for 5 to 7 years to fill this
right.
director of e-commerce for my tire shop.
Mhm.
And yeah, do they really need tires? Can they just have, had some more general experience? Probably. Can you teach them? Yes,
You can teach
absolutely.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a great point. And the other thing I wanted to mention, when you were talking about social media, right? What you all are doing is so important. Is very important because it's something I even thought about several years ago. Uh, why would I go on Instagram if my platform of what I'm trying to, or my products I'm trying to sell, doesn't meet that audience, that avatar, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, versus Facebook. Maybe they may really love what I do, right? Or somebody like Chick-fil-A, right? Huge brand that's out there. They literally advertise specific things on Facebook because the audience is different compared to Instagram, right?
Totally.
It's so amazing to me. So what you're doing is something that is very unique in my eyes, right? Do you see that? Do you see customers where they may have to promote something on one platform, totally different on another platform, just because of the avatar?
I see it all the time, honestly, right? And I actually think that it's 100% what everybody should be doing.
Mm,
I don't think that generalized offers across every channel are the way to go at all. I
mm,
think highly specialized targeted offers at various groups that are high converting, that you've studied your data for and you've found are where you should be targeting and going after all your marketing campaigns and efforts, right? Do you know, based on studying your data and your analytics, that visitors who came to you from one platform convert at X rate and buy a particular product set versus people who came to you off of a competitive platform don't even look at those same products. They're of a different age group. They have a different voice messaging that they want to hear, all these kinds of things. And you literally can understand all of those things through testing and
Mhm.
and getting into your analytics. And then you can start to put out campaigns, ads, messaging that are specialized for those groups on those channels. And I would bet you every time that you're going to see greater performance than if it's just a general offer every single time.
Man, I mean, that was so insightful. So, do you see at Nimble, do you see yourself once you work with the customer? Is it an ongoing thing? Are you on continuously analyzing the data even after you help them make this great data driven decision? Is that something that you recommend, or that's something that you continue to do with the customers?
Yeah, it can vary by engagement, right? In some instances, we will create something, a solution, turn it over to the organization, train them how to use it, and kind of let go, right? Like
Mhm.
take the training wheels off and send somebody off down the road on their new bike.
Mhm.
And then it might be that, hey, now I want to go do bike racing. It's a couple of years later, and
Mhm.
can you help me out because that's a little bit more specialized, and I need some additional training. So it
Mhm.
can be a scenario like that where there's kind of an initial engagement, and then somebody comes back after a while, or maybe they just go off and ride their bike, and that's great. Or it can be that kind of ongoing engagement where maybe we're working as an embedded team within their organization, and we're constantly helping to educate them and helping to move the business forward. So we do it all. Yeah.
Man, you definitely, audience, you definitely have to check out Nimble. I mean, I would, right? And I probably will. I probably will recommend my own company, right? Because you all range from small companies to big companies as well, right?
We do. Yeah. We work with everybody from startups to folks that are doing billions in revenue. Yeah.
Yeah. So I work for NetApp right now, and something like that would be very valuable to their organization for sure. So okay, I want to dive into a little bit. You on the website, right? You all talk about predictive and prescriptive analytics, right?
Yep.
A lot of the audience really doesn't they don't understand the difference and how they are used to make some of those better data-driven decisions, right? In your words, what would you say the difference is between the predictive and the prescriptive analytics?
Predictive is, what's going to happen in the future, and trying to take an educated guess at that through things like that regression analysis that we were talking about earlier, and the correlation to housing starts. And so you can see that housing starts are going to be a leading indicator, right? There's something that happens before the purchase of the appliances might happen. And so you can use how many housing starts are going on right now to tell you how many appliance sales are going to happen in the future, right? So that's a way of predicting things, right? And prescriptive is much more like, what should we do next?
Yeah.
Prescriptive fits in really well with things like lead scoring, or with customer segmentation, behavior modeling, these kinds of things, where you can say, hey, for people who have done these 5 activities on our website, whether it's B2B or B2C, I want to give them this message. I think they're highly likely to convert, and I'm going to put them into a different bucket of people that I'm talking to than my general audience, right? And
Mhm.
those are the differences in my mind that are kind of easy to understand and grasp.
No, that was amazing because I mean, based off of that, right? If I could summarize that, I truly think that the predictive analytics is more of that potential future outcome,
Mm-hmm.
right? You would say, and then the prescriptive analytics helps you draw the specific recommendations that are out there and stuff, right?
Totally.
So that was a great point. And when you mentioned lead scoring, right, I definitely want to touch on lead scoring and customer targeting because we talked about this in the conversation before the interview, and one thing with customer targeting, right, that captured me was like Amazon. I go on
Yeah.
Amazon and I'm sitting there trying to purchase an item. They say, "Well, it seems like you would like this too, right? We
Right.
recommend this,
Right.
right?" And it blew my mind when I first heard it. Saw it years ago, right? I'm like, wow, how did you know that I would like that? I would
Yeah.
really like that, right? You know.
Yeah.
Um, so how are you all dealing with the customer targeting and lead scoring out there?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, huge topic. We could probably talk about that for like 20 shows.
Right.
But, from like a personalization kind of behavioral targeting standpoint, there's tons of platforms out there, right? And you can go and find lots of great software that'll help you drive that kind of recommendation off of your site. And what happens is you have to install one of those and then go through a tuning period, right? Where it's reading the data, it's understanding their algorithms are working, and they're kind of figuring out things like, hey, 85% of people who bought product X also bought product Y. When
Mm,
somebody comes in and looks at product X, let's recommend that they might also like product Y, right?
mm,
And they're just very simply, that's kind of what's going on, and that's happening. And I think that's happening more and more frequently. And it's not just being applied to those kind of recommended product boxes or things like that, right? It starts to actually get into what images are you seeing on the website? Okay.
mm,
So did somebody come in and they gave us an indication that they're a female shopper, right? Because they looked at female clothing. Next time that visitor hits our homepage, let's put an image on our hero graphic that's female oriented, right?
mhm.
Or that's male oriented, or that is some demographic category oriented, right?
Right,
And that can change over time too, right? Like, oh, this person started looking at baby products, let's put up babies. This person
right.
started looking at pet products, let's throw pets in there. Whatever it can be can happen. And then that trickles down into things like email targeting, and it can even go off if you're using a platform like a customer data platform, where you can send that information off into your universe of marketing partners. It can start to happen that you're getting those tailored ads and those tailored ad experiences on places like Instagram, Facebook, etc. And then, you brought up lead scoring too, huge thing. And typically people think of that as a B2B kind of approach, and the first one is a B2C kind of approach. What I'm going to tell you is that they can both be used in both places, right?
Mm,
So lead scoring doesn't just have to be about, which of my business customers am I going to close and the likelihood to do that. You can use lead scoring to do consumer behaviors of the same kind of thing that we were talking about, and then you just serve them something like a different pop-up on the website, a different
mm,
promotional offer, whatever it might be, right? But lead scoring gets into that great kind of prescriptive analytics area that we were talking about, right?
mm,
What you do is you narrow that down to, let's say five-ish, a handful of things that you want to indicate are high indicators of a converting customer for you, and whatever a conversion means, right? Are they going to sign a contract? Are they going to buy a soccer ball? Whatever it might be. And it can be things like, which product pages did they visit? Which white paper pages did they visit? Did they download something? Did they open one of the emails that we sent to them? Did they go and interact with some of our marketing messaging on another channel? Which channel did they come to us from? Are people more likely to buy that came to us from YouTube than ones that came to us from WhatsApp? Okay,
right.
great. You can start to score all those things, and you can give somebody just points behind the scenes that says, okay, well, Bobby's a 95 and Matt's only a 60 on this product category or ability to convert or whatever it might be. And then easily kind of send messaging to them, uh, promote different offers to them, send them an entirely different series of email interactions, whatever it might be. So lots of fun stuff going on there.
No, man, that's amazing because a lot of people don't understand the curiosity that you just presented, right? The
Mhm.
whys, the what. You're just constantly asking questions throughout the process, and you're constantly like just trying to be curious, trying to figure out the why. It's
Totally.
almost like you keep asking why, no matter what, right? Throughout the entire
Yeah.
process. and this is how you kind of boost sales, right? It was interesting to me, some of the things that you said as far as the gender differences, right? Where you
Sure.
talk about maybe the male versus female, or even I'm pretty sure it can even get down to right the phone that you're using, right? Are
Totally.
you using iPhone versus Android stuff, right? Am
Yep.
I getting more of that versus the other? Right? And then you kind of want to sway more towards the other, right? It helps boost your sales. It probably helps you be more efficient, So that was definitely amazing. I mean, you're getting the most out of the current customers, and even you're figuring out how to bring back, right, some of the customers that were there before. They already purchased.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great point. Because it totally extends into that retention or that remarketing kind of aspect of things, right? Like, and it goes back to those suggested products. How can we know what we should tell somebody they should look at next, right?
Mhm.
What's the likelihood of somebody to be a repeat purchaser? What's the timeline for that,
Mhm.
right? So that's a great thing to understand, right? Uh, what's the number of days it takes for 85% of your customers to repurchase, right? Do they do it in
Mhm.
30 days? Do they do it in 90? Is it 122? Is it 467, right? And then you can start to do things off of that data point, right? You can
Right.
go, oh, listen, there's a whole group of people that are 5 days away from reaching this milestone that we know customers typically have repurchased by that haven't rebought. We need to send them a message right now, today, and encourage them to buy, and let's give them a discount. Go.
Man. No, that's it's almost like it can be overwhelming, to some people sometimes because I'm pretty sure you meet a lot of customers where they don't even know where to start, right? They're collecting so much data and they're like, I don't even know how to ask the right questions. I don't know where to start, right? And so what you all are doing is some really great things in Nimble. And I really appreciate it from a data standpoint. I know the audience appreciate it from people that are really trying to figure out why is data important, all the way to the advanced people that are out there and they're saying, man, they may be even able to use those data points that you just mentioned, right?
Right.
Within their products and stuff. And so I really appreciate you being on. And at the end, the audience usually they love the summarization, right? And what I've learned today in this podcast is that data analytics doesn't just help you sell more effectively to those potential customers, right? It can also change how you upsell, cross sell, to your existing customers, right? And
Yeah.
I can probably highlight everything I've learned on here because curiosity is key, right? Ask the
Yes.
why, right? It does help to make those data driven decisions, but understanding how and the why is important, right? I remember having a conversation with a buddy of mine, um, who's also a data scientist, and we talked about how, man, you got to learn this Python, the statistics, right? The You have to learn all this technical stuff, right? But I could really Google and nowadays, right, and figure out how to implement a lot of those things and become really good at it if I don't have an
Hmm.
answer. But the curiosity is something that is probably more important than even understanding those skill sets because a lot of times understanding the why is something that's unique. A lot of that's where the
Totally.
data scientist comes in. They understand the why. They're asking those curious questions. So you are doing a tremendous job out there. The company is, you're leveraging data with things such as like customer recency, right, frequency, monetization. So
Yep.
is there anything that you want to leave the audience with?
I think you said a lot of them, but I would say get out there and be curious, ask
Mhm.
questions, use the data at your disposal to find the answer, right? Like get into your analytics platforms, get into your sales histories, these kinds of things. And, you know, there is that kind of overwhelming where do we start? But I would encourage you to just get started. Like pick something that stands out to you that
Mhm.
you're curious about and interested about. Like, hey, why do, like, if you're a global business. Why did people from Germany convert at a way lower rate than other of our international customers? What's going on there? Why is that happening? And then just dig into that, right? Like, or if that's not interesting to you at all, figure out something like, hey, what happens if we change this imagery on the homepage, or we rearrange the way things look, right? Just get out there
Yeah.
and be curious and go for it. Don't be afraid. So,
Right. Right. No. No. Great advice, man. Great advice. Now it's time to have a little bit of fun.
all
All
right,
right. The audience really loved this game. It's called Overrated, Underrated. All right. I play with my guests, and I got this game from a motivational speaker that I follow. His name is Gary V. So shout out to Gary V. And really, you get a chance to decide whether you think these topics that I'm going to present to you are overrated, underrated, or right where it needs to be. And then you can actually explain your answer if you want or not, but it allows the audience to know that we're not just geeking it out all the time in our business
perfect.
ventures. We do care about things like cheese, right? We do care about, I don't know, we have an opinion about bicycles or
Right.
uh, or skiing or something like that, right? So are you ready to go?
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm
All right.
excited.
The first one is hockey.
Hockey. I'm going to say underrated.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it,
Yeah.
it depends on who's like the true hockey fans and things like that. Are you a true hockey fan?
I wouldn't call myself a true hockey fan. I love a good game. I actually like Olympic and college hockey a little bit better because of the larger ice, right? And I think it's a lot of fun. And quite honestly, to me, it has a lot of similarities to soccer, especially indoor soccer, and the way that you strategically have to move your team up and down the ice or the field, right? And I play soccer and love it, so that's why
Oh,
I would
so
that's
you're a
why I
fan
would
of the World
vote.
Cup and
Yeah,
all that stuff?
I am. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Definitely. Me too. All right. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Ooh. Um, Underrated. Underrated. Yeah, like
There's nothing like a good one, right?
right? Like you got
Until
some
you
good
start making
soft
other
bread and some good peanut butter and whatever your favorite jelly is, and like that thing will hit like nothing else, right? Like and it'll surprise you too. You'll be like, I haven't had one of these in years, and man, it's amazing. So
Yeah, and it's funny because I tried to introduce my son to peanut butter and jelly sandwiches like when he was a little younger, and
yeah,
he was like, "Ew, this is nasty, right?" And it hurt my heart because it's something I grew up on sometimes, right? Just to fill your
yeah,
stomach, transition from the grape jelly to the strawberry jelly.
yep,
It's like I
yep.
just would do that from time to time, But now he loves them, so he loves them.
Good.
They have the what is it called, Uncrustables, so you
Yeah.
can do that as well. All right, snowboarding.
Ooh. Um, Even though I am a snowboarder, I'm going to say overrated, right? Like,
Oh,
and here's why. It became like this trendy thing to do.
mhm,
Not like I really love that. I want to do it. I was a skateboarder. I
mhm.
surfed, whatever. And it all of a sudden is like, you know, it, I think it's just like the trendy thing to do. And I think a lot of people get frustrated and don't enjoy it and wind up giving up because of that. Right.
Right,
So,
right. So you think I guess they're doing it just because it's a cool thing to do, right?
yeah.
Versus really enjoying it.
Yeah. Right. Like, I mean, try it all out and pick whatever suits you best. Don't just go for the trendy thing. So,
Yeah. What would you choose, skiing or snowboarding?
well, I've done both, right? So like I started skiing and snowboarding started to come to popularity when I was in junior high, middle school. And I switched at that point in time. And I still actually even go back to skiing sometimes.
Mhm,
But, prefer snowboarding. So,
mhm. All right, coffee.
oh, oh, um, I'm gonna go overrated again.
What? You love
Yeah,
coffee.
yeah.
That's why I threw it out there, man. That's your
Yeah,
thing.
no, I'm going to go overrated, and here's why. Because it's become this thing where it's like pods, pour over,
Mhm.
niche coffees, like So many shops everywhere. Like there's literally shops that are like 2 doors apart on streets, and it's like, how
That's
many of
true.
these places can there be? How many different ways to prepare and serve coffee can there be? Like I know people that get so into it that they're like weighing their coffee,
What?
they're measuring out exact, perfect amounts of water, doing like timed pour overs, all these kinds of things. And it's just like, it's too much. I just need some caffeine. Like I want it to be kind of tasty and
Mhm.
and good enough.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna tell you the last time I tried coffee was when I was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
And my dad he used to drink coffee all the time, right? And he actually had coffee inside the car one time, and he went out to he went back to the car because he left something, right? Say he left his keys or something. And I said, man, he drinks it all the time. Let me taste it. It must be good, right? And so, so I tried it and I spit it out all over the car because it was too hot, right? Not even because of taste, but he used to just drink just plain coffee, like black and white coffee,
Right,
right?
right,
Nothing in it. And so people would tell me, man, you got to taste coffee with something in it, right? Actually put
right.
something in it, And I said, no, 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 no. I've been tainted. I don't want to do it again. So, all right, popcorn.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with just it's in the
Right
right
where
place. It's right
yeah,
where it
yeah.
needs to be.
I
Yeah.
agree. Sometimes it hits right, and sometimes I'm like, man, I overdo it, and I don't know. Like it can be too buttery sometimes. Sometimes it can be just right. They have caramel popcorn now. I feel like it's like the Power Rangers, right? It's like they're getting. It's just so many
All the
different variants,
flavors. Yeah.
right? All the flavors and stuff. But I love it. All right. I don't know if you've been there before. The Rocky Mountains, being from Colorado.
Yeah, love the Rocky Mountains. I'm going to tell everybody they're overrated. Don't come visit them. They're not exciting at all. There's nothing
What?
fun to do in them, and I'm totally lying right now because I I want them to myself. No,
Yeah, yeah. You want them to yourself.
they're fantastic, right? Like, I mean, you can't overrate them.
Mhm.
And to call them underrated, I think would be a disservice. But if you haven't been, you should come and visit and do some activity in the Rocky Mountains somewhere because they're amazing.
Right, right, right. I definitely got to do that then. I've been to Aurora, Colorado, plenty of
Okay.
times
Yep.
working, but I never get a chance to experience too many things. Right? I went to the Denver, the Broncos. Are you a Broncos fan? If you're
Yeah. I'm a weird individual. I love soccer. It's really the only sport I follow. I do not
okay,
follow football.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Is it true? Like, is it really intense up there as far as the breathing and stuff up there?
yeah, so it's super difficult when you change altitude from an athletic perspective, especially if you're coming, like all the way from sea level or really low. It
Hmm.
it hits you. You have to hydrate. You have, less oxygen in your blood than you normally would when you're transitioning like that, and it's tough, right? It's why the Olympic training centers in Colorado Springs, and why so many different teams come to Colorado to train at altitude. Like it
Mm.
helps. Yeah.
Man, man, man. Okay. So all athletes, just let you know. I mean, I guess Deion Sanders, he's going to University of Colorado now. So, everybody that goes there, just make sure you get your breathing up.
Yep. Yep.
Um, all right, last one, the Colorado River.
The Colorado River. Um, I am gonna go with just where it needs to be
Okay.
from like an overrated, underrated standpoint. Um, yeah, I'll stick with that.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, look, Matt, I really appreciate you being on. You've given a lot of insight. Definitely team, check out Nimble. Audience, definitely understand that you can reach Matt. At probably different places, but Matt, where's the best place they can reach you at?
Easiest place is LinkedIn. Just the LinkedIn profile plus my name. So go there, or they can come to the Nimble Gravity website, nimblegravity.com.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, look, audience, thank you for listening to the Data is My Science podcast, the show that makes data your passion. I am your host again, Dapper Data. I love you all. You can reach me at Mr. Dapper Data on any one of the social media platforms: Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. And definitely check out my book at www.mrdapperdata.com/dapperbook, and check me out on YouTube. Right, definitely subscribe when you listen into the podcast on YouTube. I know you all like the audio version, but definitely check out the video, right? Because we have some pretty faces on here, right? We got some handsome faces, we got some beautiful faces out here. So definitely look at us, man. You want to see us? We're showing action. We're not just doing things like just audio all the time, So definitely check it out, on www.youtube.com/at Dapper Data. All right, love you all. Peace. Next time.